Okay.
Round 2.
What's new?
Oh,
Sorry.
Round 2 of What's New. No.
Welcome back to Tramps, Ghosts, and Ballerinas.
Yes. Second episode on camera.
Video.
YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the first one worked out.
Well,
So that this is our second.
What's going on?
well, we're going to see, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what's new? What's new?
How about this? How about this?
Yeah, who are we?
My name is Fee.
I'm Ellen.
I'm Mariah.
That's it.
You know, if you know, you know.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for coming back to watch us again. Listen to
so
us.
At least, hopefully, that the first video wasn't hideous. So
Yeah.
I mean, not by your editing. I'm just saying.
Just us that
Us.
we think we all
Again,
look.
full face and makeup really makes a difference.
Yeah.
I learned that.
Well,
What,
I know.
what episode is this?
well, this we're on episode 30. I have
3.
book
This will be episode 33.
33.
33, book 30 or 33. If we're counting the 2 Goosebumps,
Yep.
which we are, but this will be.
Teddy.
And then here's Teddy.
Yep, finally
And
made
his
it
new
on the table.
haircut.
Finally made it on the table. Hi. Thank you.
Aw, you're so sweet. He's like, I know.
Making sure that red dot is on.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah. Nobody's little tookus pushes it off.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so we've got the Who, and how about the What's New with the Who?
What do you like?
New.
What are you liking?
What are you liking this week?
Oh, I have a story real quick.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go for it.
I already told you this, but I didn't tell you this.
Ooh.
On Saturday when I was getting ready for work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was getting ready for work, and Blanche, it was raining, so she wasn't outside. So she's
Okay.
following me around while I'm getting dressed and everything. And then I was almost done, and so I went into the bathroom and did something or whatever. And then I went back into my closet room, and I just hear this. And then I'm looking around,
So
I'm like,
sad.
and then and I was like, where is she? And I was like, baby girl, where are you at? And of course my room is just filthy and there's piles of clothes everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck, where did she go? And then I look and she's stuck in my drawer.
Oh no!
And there's a little bit of a gap. And so I just see her eyes like, and I open the drawer and she's like,
I.
hi. And I was like, honey. So
Clearly you didn't know.
so I had my pants, so I must have opened it up, got my pants, left it open. She jumped in, and it's a soft close, so she must have jumped in and then just...
Oh, it just closed by
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
Oh no!
So it's probably a good 5-10 minutes she was in there.
A lifetime.
Yeah, and then she was...
She's like, I'm gonna die of starvation in here.
Yeah, she was so
So
sad.
sad.
It was so cute, though.
Oh.
Do you have to sit on my book?
Yes.
I'm really loving this haircut of his.
Yeah, Teddy got a haircut because he gets hot in the summertime.
You're so handsome.
And don't worry, he has a single coat. So I'm not shaving a double-coated dog.
Dare you?
I know.
Hi, buddy.
Well,
Because like you're not supposed to shave like
German
Huskies
Shepherd.
or German Shepherds or Labs or all those dogs that have a double coat because you're messing up their whole
Ecosystem.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
But dogs like Teddy, who their hair just grows and 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 it doesn't really shed that much, you can cut their hair.
Has he been this short before?
Last summer. So he
Okay.
gets one haircut in the summer and then that's it.
Oh, is he gonna lay? Here, I can move this.
he's fine. You're fine.
But what else do we like? Or what do we like? That's not something I like. That's just, hi. Careful.
Well,
Oh, I'm liking Teddy's haircut. How about that? That was
Yeah.
my thing. I'm liking Teddy's haircut.
I agree. Paper?
Well, there's a book on the floor, and Blanche is flipping through the pages.
just perusing, just getting prepared to record.
Funny.
I don't know. Let's see. I will have been on vacation when this
Oh yes.
posts.
And where are you going?
I can say it now because
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
because it'll have been a secret. And in fact, the step family
I'm back.
group message that I have, I didn't even tell them because I feel like somebody may
Spoil.
Ooh,
spoil it.
Then
So-
you just gotta be safe.
So yep. But it's been actually really fun. So I'm going to San Diego, or at this point, I'll have been in San Diego But my brother was texting me, and he's kind of coordinated the whole thing. And he and his wife and I are going out for my niece's graduation from high school. And
fun.
now everybody out there knows that my brother and his wife are coming, but nobody out there knows that I'm coming.
That'll be fun.
It's
So
gonna be a great
yeah,
surprise.
in fact, my brother texted me this morning, and he said that he had made dinner reservations for the first night that we're there. And he's like, so yeah, Beth goes, make the reservations for 6. And he goes, and of course I made him for 7. And
So is Andy not going?
Andy's not going.
Oh, it's just you by your lonesome? Mm-hmm. Not by your lonesome. I mean, you'll have your whole family there, but
Yeah, no, it's just
but flying.
well, we're flying out together, and I'm
Oh,
flying.
that'll be
I'm
good, yeah.
flying home alone. So
Okay.
no, Andy.
But Andy's going to Christy's wedding, so like that's his trip with you, right?
Yeah. I mean that we don't have a lot of details on that, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that will happen. He's got a couple of trips planned with his mom, one for sure. So I don't know because he wanted to make it a longer trip, and I didn't. I'm kind of being selfish with my PTO because my schedule changed, and so things that I like to go to that normally didn't cost me any PTO or now cost me 2 or 3 days, and so
You've
was
earned it.
kind of hoarding it so that I can do all the things that I want to do come football season. So
Take advantage of it when you
Yeah.
can.
Yep.
yeah, so that's gonna be and I'm very excited because I text my brother this picture of a stationery shop, and I'm like, can we go here? And he's like, yeah, it's your vacation too. But today he said it's actually been really kind of fun listening to him do this. And he said, he goes, I said, because I'm very excited. I can't believe it's this weekend. He goes, Beth and I agreed. I have been trying to coordinate this for 3 years.
Wow.
It will be great to have all of us together. 'Cause
Oh, that will be fun.
We have not all 3, my 2 siblings and I. Of course, they'll have their spouses. One of them will have their kids, and I'll be spouseless. I don't remember the last time we were together in the same room. Probably a decade or longer.
Wow. And this is your full siblings.
These are
not
my
the
full.
halvesies.
No, I don't have halvesies. I have steps.
That's right. I always forget
Yep.
that.
No, this is my brother. Who
So this is
is
your actual
my
sibling.
Yep. My by blood.
Yeah.
My full brother and sister.
Okay.
So
Feet talking to the mic.
Hello? Hello?
I think you might have to turn yourself up.
Hello?
Because your mic is on, right?
Yep. How's this? Better?
That's better.
Better butter.
There you go.
better butter.
Better butter. Good
You
thing I
just
was
sounded
butter.
very distant.
Better butter.
Ah, okay.
Better butter.
So,
What are you
about
liking?
me?
Yeah.
Am I liking?
Anything? Do you like anything, Mariah?
I like
always
usually-
are you always so negative?
Yeah. Yeah. Of the sides of you, that's where I would go with that. Mhm.
So
Lots
negative.
of things. It's
Yeah.
just when you ask me a question, I can't. My brain doesn't think that fast. So, and then I try and think like, what did I do this weekend?
I'm holding Teddy's toes right now. He's letting me pet his toes.
He's very. He knows you're talking about him. Well, what else are you doing?
Well, this is cool because my dad recently purchased a 76 Trans Am, and he is refurbishing it. Is that the
Yeah.
correct term?
So we're working it over.
Yep. And I got to ride in it for the first time yesterday.
Ooh.
And it's really cool. It's going to be so cool going down the road. And it's in this really cool orange color, but in the sunlight, as when you walk around the car. So, like, say this, you got some shade, some sun. So it turns from kind of a darker orange to the transition of like the ombre look
Oh,
in
cool.
a way.
Yeah.
So
Is that going to be his car, or do you
that's
get that
his car.
Oh, okay.
That's his car.
Because
So
you have a...
I have a
car?
75 Trans Am that was
Okay.
handed down to me when I turned 25.
Okay.
And then what's your brother's car?
My brother has a 67 Chevelle.
oh,
So
I bet that's
a
cool.
family of collector cars, but all meant to stay in the family one way or another. And that's been part of the deal
Sure,
once they
yeah.
got handed down. But my dad and I worked together on my Trans Am, and then I had some hand in my dad's, but not a whole lot. But it's just
Mostly helping him with his shipping packages.
yeah, that's true. I help him make the purchases.
Well, hey, gotta do something.
That's my portion.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
But no, it was really cool to kind of for him to spend so many months towards working at it.
Yeah.
Now that it can finally go down the road.
That's cool. Yeah.
So there's still some work to be done, but he's making his way.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
That's what I got.
All right. What book are we doing?
We are doing the Happy Prince and other tales by Oscar Wilde.
Which is indeed a children's book.
Yep, it's listed, and I mean,
It makes sense.
it
that
does
it
make
is.
sense after. So,
When you get in the
Mariah and I read the same version, so I struggled with this one originally because I was reading the 20 pages of introduction by some professor.
which
Oh,
I
did
regret
not have
reading beforehand.
I just stopped reading beforehand.
I finished
I
it.
got like 2 pages in, and I was like,
What the fuck is this?
yeah.
I really liked it, but I was like, this should have been at the back of the book.
Yeah, because when I went back,
Then it made sense.
and read it. And I mean, and we should have read the introduction is.
It's not
the-
your normal introduction.
No, so I wish I
It's-
would have known that you were struggling with that because I would have told you just to stop.
Yeah, I was like halfway through, and I was like, God. So when we say it's not a normal introduction fee, it gave examples of each story.
It was like a study of it, and
Kind of,
and
okay.
the
Yeah.
theories,
Oh, cool.
and it's actually.
After you read it, it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
like it broke down the meanings and the symbolisms and all of that.
That's
so it
cool.
was really done nicely.
But it should have been at the end.
but it should have been at
But
the end.
yeah,
Let me ask you this, because I listened to it on Audible.
Yeah. Mhm.
Even though Kelly gave me the book.
Oh,
And because the chapters were just chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they didn't, and in the beginning of the chapters,
Oh.
they said what the story was.
Sure.
Except for my very last chapter, that was it was like an hour long, and they didn't tell me the name of the
Book?
story.
was it the Remarkable Rocket?
No, that wasn't the last one. The Remarkable Rocket was in there, but it wasn't the last one. The last one was Teddy. Was this dwarf who was really ugly, and the town
We don't have
hated
that.
him.
We didn't have that
Okay,
one.
because that one was so strange, and like
We didn't
and
have
he
that
didn't
one.
know he was so ugly and so grotesque, and then
He just was living his life.
living his life, happy camper, and then everybody was like making fun of him, and he wanted to like be with this woman, and she, and all the flowers and all the people were like, there was objects that could talk, whatever, were making fun of him, and then at the end he's like in front of a mirror, and he's like, oh my god, look at that hideous thing, and then realizes that it's him, and he starts like beating himself, and like it was so strange, and then he like wished that he
I
had
wonder
never
why
seen.
that wasn't in.
yeah.
That's why I asked a picture of your chapters, and I was like, okay, got this, and I'm like, but what is this one
Yeah.
though? Because it didn't say.
and that was the only extra one.
That was the very last one, and it didn't say what the name of the book story
Maybe you
was.
got like a
so
freebie.
I was really confused, but we just won't talk about that one because
Okay. Yeah.
you guys didn't have it.
I'll see if I can find it.
unless you feel like you would like to give us more than what brief you just gave us.
Well, I did find a thing of each. A brief overview of each story.
Perfect.
So we can do that.
Okay.
Do you want to give us some Oscar Wilde background?
Yes, but can I also just add, Fee, this is finally the book that you have been wanting to do for
So this
months.
is so my sister Kelly is a big avid reader, and she also really loves history, and specifically Irish history. And so she's a big Oscar Wilde fan, obviously. So this was a book that she recommended in the beginning when I was telling
this
her,
was
like,
like-
oh, we started a podcast, and she's like, cool. Or we were going to start. I don't think I think I told her before we even started it. And it was going to be children. So first she was naming books off, and I was like, the children's books only. And then she's like, oh, Oscar Wilde, this one. And she gave me the book as if I was going to read it. And she
Kelly, I hear you. There's
She didn't
there's
give me the
always
book.
hope.
She lent me the book because she gave me a tub full of books and
Yep.
said, "You're giving these back."
Yep.
And
I
this
remember
was
that.
one of them. And so I had picked it, I don't know, 3-4 times, and then it kept getting pushed for fan picks and different things, which is totally
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
So this is the book. It's been, I don't know, 4 months
Oh,
in the making of doing this one.
At least.
Yeah.
And,
So,
and at that time, we were talking about The Remarkable Rocket, which is the last short story
Yeah.
In our book.
in our book.
Yep.
But we decided to read the whole thing.
right, because it's actually not that big.
Right.
It's not
and
that
then
long.
it would have been actually a lot easier had I not listened to that final book, because that one was literally like an hour 10.
Oh,
on
shit.
that.
You would have saved yourself so much time.
I know. I would have saved myself so much time, and I could have gone back and re-listened to
Yeah.
all of them again, and
Yeah.
like been more like on it. But I wasn't, because I was listening to this one. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I would love to know, though,
What'd you-
where that falls.
What'd you?
Yeah,
find?
what'd you
So
find?
I think that it's called The Birthday of the Infanta.
Oh yeah, that probably
INFANTA.
sounds right. Yeah.
And the Infanta is the woman he fell in love with.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I
So-
heard that word in there, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, there were
So
a lot
I
of words
just
in here.
Googled Oscar Wilde dwarf story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was really very dark.
grotesque dwarf falls in love with the beautiful Infanta.
Yeah.
Originally published in 1923.
1923 or
That's when it. Yeah.
oh, okay, because this was like what 1888 or something.
This was
Yeah.
1888.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Is this our oldest book?
no, but I don't know that for
don't
real.
No, but I mean it's up there.
It's like in the Winnie. Well,
I think Teddy wants to lay down up here.
That's
So-
right here. Right here. You got plenty of room. You'll just have to lay on my cord.
Yeah, I wish I had a little blanket for you, but
That's fine.
okay. There we go. All the way down there.
Go ahead.
We're making it cozy
Making
just
room
for you.
I know it's hard. Oh, can anybody grab that? Yeah. Is that too big?
I don't know what that was.
That was a bone.
Here, let's fold it.
All for you, Teddy. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, could you look more pathetic?
Get your feet on there. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, thank you, he says.
Bud. You're welcome.
Okay. Now lay down. Lay down. Okay. So should you do some background on
Yeah.
Oscar Wilde?
Yes, and
Right.
please bear with me. There was so much about him,
Yeah.
not a lot about the book.
Yeah.
So bear with me, and it's
Well, you give your background, and then I got the shot by shot for the stories.
okay. It's very interesting.
Yeah, from the little bit that I know, it is interesting, but I don't know a whole lot. So go ahead. School us, Maria.
Born Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wills Wilde.
Very long name.
October 16th, 1854, and died November 30th, 1900. He was 46 years old. And he was an Irish poet and playwright. He was born second of 3 children to an Anglo-Irish couple, Jane Elgie and Sir William Wilde. Until he was 9, Oscar was educated at home, where a French nursemaid and a German governess taught him their languages. He then joined his older brother, William, at Porta Royal School from 1864 to 1871. While he wasn't as popular as his brother, Oscar impressed his peers with humorous and inventive school stories. Later in life, he claimed that his fellow students had regarded him a prodigy for his ability to speed read, claiming that he could read 2 facing pages simultaneously and consume a 3-volume book in half an hour, retiring enough information to give a basic account of the plot.
Retaining.
Yes. I actually typed retiring.
Autocorrect, probably.
Yep.
That's okay.
Fast forward many years in London, 1881, Oscar met Constance Lloyd, who he later married in 1884. The couple shared 2 sons together, Cyril and I don't know how to pronounce the other one.
I
That
couldn't figure it out.
Vyan.
Vivian?
Vivan?
No,
I don't know.
clue.
After writing in different forms throughout the 1880s, he became one of the most popular playwrights in London. He is most remembered for his epigrams and plays, his novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and the circumstances of his criminal conviction for gross indecency for consensual homosexual acts in one of the first celebrity trials. He then went to prison, and then an early death from meningitis.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I didn't know any of that, and I thought that was interesting.
I did know that he went to prison for that.
Yes.
So
God forbid.
one
you're gay.
more
Yeah,
blimp. At the height of his fame and success, while the importance of being earnest was still being performed in London, Wilde prosecuted the Marquis of Queensberry for criminal libel. The Marquis was the father of Wilde's lover, Lord Alfred Douglas.
After he went to jail.
Yes.
So he went to jail, I think, for 2 years. Got out and then prosecuted. So he is like, hey, you tried to ruin me.
Good for him.
Really good for him.
During his last year in prison, he wrote De Profundis, published in 1905, a long letter that discusses his spiritual journey through his trials, forming a dark counterpoint to his earlier philosophy of pleasure. On his release, he left immediately for France, never returned to Ireland and Britain. There he wrote his last work, The Ballad of Reading Gaol, a long poem commemorating the harsh rhythms of prison life.
So when he went to prison, that was the last time he saw his sons.
Yeah, and they were like
They were young.
5 and 7 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. He never went back
Yeah,
to.
I'd feel abandoned.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So that was just a very, what you like to say, a quick
Quick and dirty.
and dirty on him about the book. First published in May 1888, his first book of fiction. The book anticipates the truth-telling of his mature essays as well as the paradoxal society comedies that would make him a household name in the 1890s. The book is indebted to Oscar's parents, both of whom collected and published volumes of folk tales. Stories in the book retain some of the original features of traditional folk tales, which can be troubling, and fables, which sometimes use animals to deliver a moral. Oscar's stories are sometimes didactic, but rather than pointing to a moral, they teach free thinking. They encourage ethical behavior in children aged 1 to 100.
Just to point out that it must be very exhausting to be a podcaster.
Yes. It is
He's
so exhausting.
that's so tiring.
It's so tiring being so cute all the time.
Must be.
It's just exhausting.
So
I do have pop culture for
Pop
1888.
Real quick.
oh yeah.
Oh, you had to get me in there.
Yeah. Aunt Teddy. Good boy.
I wrote, not a whole lot I could find.
Shocking.
Yeah, huh.
Also, to be a household name in the 1890s, that must be like, that's such a strange thought.
Yeah. And probably to be a household name because you were gay
Right.
in a bad way.
Or
Right.
And look at how far
Bye.
or not we've come.
Yeah, could be.
He's probably bi. Although it was
Although
more than
maybe he got
likely-
married because,
you're expected
Society
to.
told him.
Yeah, you're expected to.
right.
So part of the foreword, which you didn't get in your version, was
Are you serious?
he's
they-
not happy.
talked about how these stories kind of came to be a little bit, because a lot of people don't think of him as a children's book author, but
Because I didn't know he actually wrote
Yeah.
children's books. Sorry.
so
Teddy, you're so fucking dramatic. Really?
come on.
We moved the whole table for you, by the way.
He doesn't know what he wants.
He-
What's
You're-
the problem?
Go on the floor. That's all right. Is that water?
It's yeah.
That's fine. I'll clean it up later. It's fine. Also, I'm playing the
I
games
know.
with you over
I
here.
know.
Sorry.
It's got strawberry in it.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Will he clean it up?
Maybe.
My dog be all over that.
He'll probably, he might be disgusted by it. I don't know, because he's so fucking picky.
So after you read these stories, and then you go back to the introduction, where it's a pretty in-depth kind of breakdown of how he wrote these four. These are kind of stories he would have told his boys.
Would have. Yeah.
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 But I think he did. That's when he wrote them.
It's not kind of what I got from
Really?
the introduction. But
Because it starts with him. Also, I looked up a picture of him. I'm sure he was quite back in the day. He would have been a looker
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
on both sides of that spectrum.
Both sides.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, so it was 20 pages of introduction. That was just. It was a lot.
It was aggressive.
It was a lot, and I'm really glad that I
Skipped it,
skipped it until after I read.
and then you went back.
Yep. So
Do we want a
sure.
short play-by-play of each book?
Do
Yep.
we want to
Great
do
story.
pop culture real quick?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I thought
sorry.
you said you didn't have any.
I said I didn't have a whole lot.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
she got
Oh.
some.
My pad's still up.
Pop
On
culture.
March 11th to the 14th in 1888, the Great Blizzard blankets part of New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut with up to 50 inches of snow.
Gross.
First organized rodeo competition was held in Prescott, Arizona.
In 1888.
Yep.
Wow.
I found literally no pop culture.
I mean,
but
1888.
Sure.
this
Yeah.
is some stuff that maybe we would think would be cool. Philip Pratt unveils first American electric tricycle. And then National Geographic magazine publishes for the
Oh.
first time.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That I say for last because I thought
Yeah.
that was the coolest.
That was-
and
but
still in production today.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's pretty wild.
We get one of those
Oscar
every
Wilde.
month.
do you?
I love National Geographic.
Really, I brought some into work. Did you
When?
see them? They're on the break room table. The one that you always sit at eat. Yeah. Because Andy gets them.
Oh.
And I just feel like they're too good of a magazine just chuck in the garbage.
Oh, you toss them over here. I'll read them.
But I brought them to work for
Yeah,
you.
I didn't see them.
I don't pay attention to the stuff that's on the table.
I don't either.
To be honest.
Well,
Unless it says help yourself.
Is there a way to bring this there, just so our legs aren't hitting it? There we go. Perfect. Okay, should we do
Now-
it?
now
go by
we
play
can
by
do it.
play.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it needs to load. Hang on. Because it's just on. It's on Wikipedia.
who was how was the narration of this?
He was all right. He was good. It was just some
British
gentleman.
guy?
Yeah, just some. Yeah, I kind of wish they had picked an Irish guy. A little
That
bit
would
of
make
an
more
Irish
sense.
accent.
Cool.
Yeah.
But they picked a British guy. I'm pretty sure. So again, I got a little play-by-play or little summary of each story via Wikipedia. So the Happy Prince. In a town full of suffering poor people, a swallow who was left behind after his flock flew off to Egypt for the winter meets the statue of the late, quote, Happy Prince, who has never experienced true sorrow, for he lived in a place where sorrow was not allowed to enter. Viewing various scenes of people suffering in poverty from his tall monument, the Happy Prince asks the swallow to take the ruby from his hilt, the sapphires from his eyes, and the gold leaf covering his body, to give to the poor. As winter comes and the Happy Prince is stripped of all of his beauty, his lead heart breaks when the swallow dies as a result of his selfless deeds and severe cold. The people, unaware of their good deeds, take the statue down from the pillar due to its shabbiness, intending to replace it with one of the mayor, and melt the metal in a furnace, leaving behind the broken heart and the dead swallow, which are thrown into a dust heap. These are taken up to heaven by an angel who has deemed them the two most precious things in the city. This is affirmed by God, and they live forever in his, quote, city of gold and garden of paradise.
That would be accurate.
Do we want to talk about that one?
We
And
can
then
do Happy Prince and then jump to the next
jump
one.
to the
Yeah.
next one and do overview
Yeah, let's
and
do that.
chat.
Okay, so what did we think of this story? By the way, our book of this had some pretty cool illustrations. So
A little dark.
Well, I feel like it's
They
all,
all,
Yeah, I mean-
I did kind of write that they were all really dark. If I wonder if we were 6, if we would have gotten all of that.
probably not.
Probably
Right.
not.
And also, if you think of the time, 1888,
Yeah.
2, Ireland, 1888.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the darkness.
I mean, I think that
is
it was
fitting for the time and
yeah,
the
because
area.
there was really you were either really wealthy or really poor. There was not really any middle
bet- in
class.
betwixt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, once I set aside the introduction and just started reading,
I really liked this story, actually.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. Not my favorite.
No.
I do have a favorite story of this book.
Yeah.
So, but
But the, like, descriptions of everything,
yeah,
I thought was really good.
What I liked was how, and this is a theme throughout all of these stories, is that the animals and often and other inanimate objects spoke. And so, you know, if you remember at the beginning of the story, the sparrow was really being kind of a he was, you know, he stayed behind because of
He asked him to.
No, he stayed behind first because of the love of his reed, this other bird.
Oh.
And he wanted her to be his wife, except for she didn't want to travel. She's like, no, I like it here. And he was supposed to fly off to Egypt.
Yep.
And, you know, all of his bird buds were making fun of him for staying behind.
Yeah.
And so he flew, but then he flew and he was going to rest the
Yep,
first night
yep.
at the
Statue.
At the statue.
Yep.
And then isn't it, I feel like the beginning that I remember was the drops are hitting him on the head.
Yep, and it's
he's
tears.
like, what the, you know, and then just the way, the sassiness that his characters have.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
the characters have,
Yeah.
I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
one drop hits him and he's like, and then another drop hits him and he's like, what in the hell? And then he
Because
looks
he
up
was
and
at
it's
first, I have
the statue's
Yeah,
crying.
he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I have a he's like, oh, where he talks about I have a golden bedroom, he said. So he was like, he's like, I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. I have a golden bedroom. So he was all like, I'm at this. And then,
Hoity-toity.
yeah, that's how he's, you know, and that's why he left his girl. Cause you know, and then that's when the tears started falling on him. So he starts off, you know, leaving somebody who he said he loved. But as soon as she said that she didn't want to do it like his way, he was like, I'm out.
Yeah. But then he fell in love with the prince.
He fell in love with the prince and
he
died.
stayed until death.
Until he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the bird died at the end of the story, I was like, is this a children's story or is But then
Yeah.
you remember the red fern and you're
Yeah,
like, oh yeah,
yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's death in children's stories.
Well, in just about every one we've read.
Yeah.
I would almost
yeah.
have to say The Happy Prince was
That's
probably my favorite.
Really?
This was your favorite story? Oh, what was yours?
I did like The Remarkable Rocket.
See,
Really?
mine was The Nightingale and the Rose.
Oh, that one was good too. They
Sure.
were all actually. I really liked them a lot.
Yeah.
I got really distracted by the last story. That kind of threw a wrench
The one that's not
in
part
everything.
of our book.
Yeah, the one that's actually not a part of this. I was so confused by that one.
So,
But
you know,
I do like the Happy Prince story. I don't know. I like them all.
Yeah, they
I
were all
actually
very...
did like them all too, because even though, you know, they're not a fairy tale, although they're very
Fanciful.
and
Magical.
that's like like I said, it's
kinda like Dark
and the
Disney.
thing, like the tree got sad when the nightingale. Well, we'll save that for the next
Yeah,
of
we'll
them.
save that for that one was a good one.
Yeah.
Did Andy read any of these, or has he read?
I'm sure he's read them,
Oh,
but I don't know. He did not comment on. Although I didn't. He was gone.
Oh,
he
when you
left.
read this,
Yeah,
yeah.
I read it. I read it yesterday afternoon, and he had gone trap shooting with Dave. So, and the night before, he was like, "Well, you can come with," and and Dave was like, "Yeah, it's your anniversary," and I was like, "No, you guys can go." And I like to trap shoot, as little of it as I've done, but so I read it by myself when I just
Sure.
decided to skip the intro. Thoughts? You?
Why was it my favorite?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there was a common thread in all of these and just selflessness. in one form or another. And I don't know, I really liked how the prince was used to a life inside the castle, and he was told to live this way and be happy. He couldn't feel bad because he couldn't see the wrong that was outside of the walls.
Right, but from his statue, he...
So then when he
Saw
died
everything. Yeah.
and was placed as a statue, that's then when he saw all the bad and the ugly. And I just loved that he decided to take the jewel from his sword, the jewels from his eyes, the gold off of his body,
Yeah.
and wanted to help people, and truly resulting into the ultimate death. So I don't know, I just really liked that
The
story.
message
I like the message.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There is an underlying in all of these tone of... I don't want to say Christianity because I don't think
There
that's
is-
it. But it is a relationship with God.
When I was reading about this online and stuff, this is online.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know what you meant. Yeah.
They were talking about how a lot of things in this book was a connection or a thread of religion.
Yep.
But I feel like at the time,
Everything was-
1888,
Everything
most things
was
had
they didn't
yeah.
really have a... I mean...
because what else would there be?
Right. Everybody
Yeah.
read the Bible, like
Right,
read it
yeah.
top to bottom.
Right.
Right.
So I think there is I feel like it's a pretty obvious tone of,
yeah, and but I also
but not
like,
in a
like in your face kind of way.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were just like in that story in particular was where God and the angel saw the heart and the dead bird and they actually said and God brought them up, right? That's probably the most
Obvious.
There's one more.
Yeah, there is, but they didn't talk about... They don't actually say it, like calling God and going up to heaven.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was like word for
blatantly-
word.
Yeah, this was blatantly about God bringing the two of
and
them up
to live in paradise.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
Garden of Paradise.
Yeah,
Like
I
very,
know
very.
the story you're talking about. Yes, is completely religious.
Yep.
but doesn't
Say it. Sure.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I was.
It's more
I
of
guess
an
getting.
undertone.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
that
there's
other
an
story.
yeah. Yep.
Got it.
But yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I guess when like I said, the introduction just almost ruined this whole thing for
Experience.
me because I started to read it first again. Yeah, and then so I guess I enjoyed the story. It's
was there anything in your introduction for this story that you would want to share?
yeah, there was probably. Whoops, sorry. There was probably some. I should have highlighted it up, but.
Well, and the worst part is it doesn't section it
No,
off at
it
all.
talks it- it's like she did a research paper on
Gotcha.
the whole collection,
Oh, okay.
and not research paper, but lots of insight and very philosophical and symbolism and things like
well,
that.
then
So
never mind. Yeah.
I wish
no.
I could command F and type in Happy Prince so
Yeah.
that it could lead me to the page where it talks about
I mean,
it.
they do. I think it's towards the end, maybe. She's talking about the swallow. I don't know. Where is it? At any rate, she probably had to do this for her dissertation.
I mean, it was well put together.
Yeah. So here it says, what happens when we see the world through the eyes of the nightingale or the happy prince or little Hans? Who are we shoulder to shoulder with then? Is it possible that from the vantage points, from that vantage point, she's talking about seeing things through the eye of, like because he talks about playing with his boys and being on the all fours and, and looking at the table from underneath, whereas a table from the top is a place to eat and a table from underneath is maybe a kingdom or a castle or a place to hide. Or so that's
Here's
we
I found
feel a bit
another one.
more compassion for our fellow. is it possible from that vantage point we feel a bit more compassion for our fellow creatures, and when that happens, doesn't the world suddenly seem new and beautiful? That's actually how it ends here. But I don't know if you maybe flipped through and saw some
What'd
other
you find,
thing.
Mariah?
Here's there are other cracks in these stories. Take, for instance, the curiously fragile bonds between love, beauty, and usefulness. Why does almost every character make a fetish of usefulness in The Happy Prince? Initially, the swallow loves only what serves him. We've seen this before. Like Hugh the Miller, the swallow is another of Wilde's shallow, self-serving characters. The swallow's friends are no better, criticizing his beloved Reed because she has no money. On the surface, this seems to be yet another story about characters using others to serve themselves. Sure enough, the swallow first takes advantage of the Happy Prince by using the statue as a shelter. He soon learns to his horror that all is not as it seems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that's really... The whole introduction was to that kind of thread. Just really sort of diving into it. So,
yeah.
but yeah.
Should we do the next one?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the next story is, at least on here, is The Nightingale and the Rose.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. A nightingale overhears a student complaining that the professor's daughter will not dance with him as he is unable to give her a red rose. A lizard, a butterfly, and a daisy laugh at the student for doing so. The nightingale visits all of the rose trees in the garden, and one of the roses tells her there is a way to produce a red rose. I thought it was one of the trees that told her.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's a rose bush.
Bush. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was reading it as a tree for some reason.
there is a tree in there.
It's
cool.
the red rose bush or tree that tells
Says
the
that. Okay.
nightingale.
Okay. Anyway, there is a way to produce a red rose, but only if the nightingale is prepared to sing the sweetest song for the rose all night with her heart pressing into a thorn, sacrificing her life. Seeing the student in tears and valuing his human life above her bird life, the nightingale carries out the ritual and dies painfully. The student takes the rose to the professor's daughter, but she again rejects him because the
he's poor,
chamberlain's
base.
nephew has sent her some real jewels, and, quote, everybody knows that real jewels cost more than flowers. The student angrily throws the rose into the gutter, returns to his study of metaphysics, and decides not to believe in true love anymore.
Yeah.
Pretty sad story.
It's a really
Poor
sad
little
story.
bird.
I know.
Yeah.
So
All these
this
birds,
one- yeah.
all these blades are dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody always dies in all of these.
Why is it birds?
Yeah. So this was my favorite of the stories.
Why?
I don't know. I just liked how the nightingale was just trying feverishly to find a way to get a rose for him. And I don't know. I just thought she was of all of his characters, she was the most selfless.
I really wanted to tell the bird, no,
Yeah, it's not
Don't
worth
do
it.
it.
Yeah,
I wanted to slap the kid.
boy.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah. So, and the tree where she built her nest, she's like, "I'll be sad when you leave." And but the tree cried, "Press closer, little nightingale, or the day will come before the rose is finished." And that's So basically, the red rose is filled with her
Blood.
the blood of a nightingale.
this story was probably my least favorite because
Really?
it made me so mad.
Oh,
That I said the nightingale sacrifices herself sadly for a very selfish and foolish boy who knows nothing of love.
I never will. And he'll probably be one of those boys that never gets that
it.
Yeah.
and never understands what the nightingale did.
Right.
It's all about. I mean,
Yeah, what's the whole
Sacrificing.
meaning of this story?
well,
What'd you take from it?
In your words.
I think that what the nightingale shows is true love, and so she was willing to obviously sacrifice her whole life to get him something that would make him happy.
Sure.
So that's
I feel like
sort of
it's also kind of a maybe it wasn't intended this way, and I'm just now thinking of this. So, but perhaps it, because like if you've ever known a woman or a guy
person.
too, a person who gives everything in a relationship where that other person that they're giving to
Just takes.
and gives no shits whatsoever about that, and isn't not respectful, what's the word, isn't
Doesn't have the capability.
well, like
to-
doesn't take any of that and
No, they're
appreciate
just
it. There's no
selfish,
appreciation
right.
for it.
Yeah.
You know, they just are the takers.
So
and,
I feel like this could also be perhaps a lesson,
Relatable.
a lesson in like, hey, don't do that.
don't give up your true self.
Don't give up yourself
For nothing in return.
somebody else who doesn't appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
no,
then look what happens. You give up your entire life, and then this boy is like throws it in the trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's.
Yeah,
It's
so
all
don't
about-
don't do
it-
that. I
it-
feel
yeah,
like it was
it's a cautionary tale.
Cautionary
of,
tale of,
Yeah.
of hey, don't
Don't lose yourself entirely to
a relationship.
a person who or something that's not giving you back equally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I feel like we've all met people that are in relationships like that. Where you're
Been
just,
in relationships like that.
oh yeah, that too. Where you're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
It's
ahead.
interesting to be an adult to be able to dive in and
Yeah.
see that. But then if your
If you were a
mom
kid.
was reading this to you,
yeah.
what would you have taken away?
I have no idea.
Probably in that one.
Or as a parent,
What would
are
you
you
tell
trying
your
to tell
child?
your child?
Gosh, I would think something to the effect of, I don't know, not being so selfless, or they would say something about the boy and how he didn't, we discard things that, or take things for granted.
Sure.
And don't really know what there could be of any sacrifice that goes into some of the simplest things, or
Like
so.
one person will look at this rose for what it is, and then someone else can look at what it
Means.
took to get it.
right.
You know, the different
and both
appreciations.
the boy and the girl didn't mean anything.
Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
girl took the jewels because they were more, they cost
valuable.
more.
Yeah. And,
Cost more.
and the boy was so dumb as to think that a rose would do this, and how he was crying and crying and crying.
And a little
Also
bitch.
about how to not maybe give up so much or feel so much about something you don't really know.
Right.
Like,
Then they're
like don't fall so hard with what you thought is something when it turns out to be somebody else or something else. It's a character.
Yeah.
Like you've built this person up, much like online dating, I think, or because there was somebody I used to work with who would have these text, like long text conversations, and just like, oh my god, this person's awesome, and then you go meet them in person, they're like,
You're like,
wah,
wah,
wah.
wah.
Yo.
And because it's only one
Side of
one
something.
side of a person. So
Right.
Yep.
so this guy, he was in love with this girl, the love of my life, and she's gonna be dancing with somebody else, and then then she's like, yeah, you're not rich enough for me, and like that's something you should know
Beforehand.
before a nightingale gives up her life.
Right.
So
As an adult, looking at it, discussing it, it is a good story.
yeah,
Like,
So you've
I
grown
would-
to not hate it now?
I would retract my earlier statement
Okay.
saying
Yeah.
my least favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, these
Yeah.
stories are meant to strike up conversation like this.
Right. Yeah.
there's. I mean, I think
For
there's
all
supposed.
ages.
I think there's always a moral.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to who didn't want a moral in his story. One of the other ones. You shouldn't have said. You should have said what the moral is right away.
The
and
devoted
then-
friend, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Should I read the next?
Yep.
Thing?
Yes.
Is it the selfish giant?
Let me scroll. Hang on. Yes, it is.
All right, go
Okay.
for it.
Okay, the selfish giant. The selfish giant owns a beautiful garden which has 12 peach trees and lovely fragrant flowers in which children love to play after returning from school. On the giant's return after visiting his friend the Cornish ogre for 7 years, he takes offense at the children and builds a wall to keep them out. He puts up a notice board, trespassers will be prosecuted. The garden falls into perpetual winter. One day, the giant is awakened by a linnet.
Yeah, it's a bird, I believe.
Okay. And is that how you say it? Lynette?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
And discovers that spring has returned to the garden as the children have found a way in through a gap in the wall. He sees the error of his ways and resolves to destroy the wall. However, when he emerges from his castle, all the children run away except for one boy who was trying to climb a tree. The giant helps the boy into the tree and announces, "It is your garden now, little children," and knocks down the wall. The children once more play in the garden and spring returns. But the boy that the giant helped does not return, and the giant is heartbroken. Many years later, after happily playing with the children all the time, the giant is old and feeble. One winter morning, he awakens to see the trees in one part of his garden in full blossom. He descends from the castle to discover the boy that he once helped standing beneath the beautiful white tree. The giant sees that the boy bears the stigmata. He does not realize that the boy is actually the Christ child and is furious that somebody has wounded him. Shortly afterwards, the happy giant dies. That same afternoon, his body is found lying under the tree, covered in blossoms. The end.
I wasn't
end.
prepared for him to die.
Everybody dies in this book, Mariah.
Yeah,
Every story.
something dies.
Yeah.
I liked this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know.
I don't know.
Dead silence.
Yeah.
I did too. I didn't think I was going to like this one as well, but I did. I wasn't prepared for the boy being
Christ.
Yeah.
Stigmata. That's the
That's the nails.
The
yeah.
nails
in the
through the-
hands
the nail-
or
yeah.
wrist or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I
I
know.
guess that part took me for a
Surprise.
Same.
Yeah. Not.
I
I just knew that there would be a thread of spirituality or religion through all of this. I didn't think it would be
So
that.
blatant.
Well, because I mean, yeah, because he's a little boy throughout this, and Christ wasn't when all of that happened. So,
Right.
but yeah, I thought about this one was that how the spring was like, fuck you. We're going to not come around because you're a dick. Basically, you know, there's like
Mother Nature had
Other ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, we're gonna show you how nasty it can be when
Right.
you don't.
When you're nasty.
When you're nasty.
yeah. So there's a lot of things there. I think.
Yeah.
that
Like
could
what?
be, you know, just how he's like, get out of here, kids, because it's mine. Although I mean, I get that, but
Like private property.
I understand
In
the
a
gist
sense.
of all of that.
Yeah.
But just it was more about not so much it being private property and this kind of thing. It was that he just was so controlling and didn't care that the kids got such joy out of something.
True. Yeah.
He was just like, meh. And so Mother Nature was like, well, fuck off.
yourself.
We're gonna
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
back.
We're gonna
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course sharing and care and all of that they.
Why do we think the Christ was there? What do you think? What was the purpose of that? Like, what was the purpose of that little boy being there?
To teach them.
And then, so okay, wait. So if he
Like, why did it have to be Christ?
Well, okay. So hang on. I'm just thinking through something here.
Sure.
So if he helped the little boy in the tree, and then the boy was gone, and he was heartbroken, and then he came back and he died. So was he? Is that something to say about his religion, like losing his religion and being heartbroken over that, and then getting what? Like, what does it mean?
Like, why did the boy disappear?
Like, why did he
Leaving
help
the
the
giant.
boy, and then when the boy was left, he was heartbroken? Why was he heartbroken over this boy leaving? He helped him in a tree one fucking time. Like, what was the point of? You know what I mean? What do we think, Helen? You got a big brain.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that he was sad because well, it says here, but the children said that they did not know where he lived and that they had never seen him before. And the giant felt very sad. So it was basically, it's because he helped the boy into the tree. Because all the other trees that the kids were climbing in turned to spring, right? And blossomed. This one, and he didn't maybe realize it until he helped this
The boy in there? Yep.
and then he saw that tree blossom into the white petals and then disappeared. And so it was, he appeared because he needed
to see
the giant
that
needed to see. He needed to like
Oh.
see that you
actions.
you can help somebody just to help somebody and what that does. And then he disappeared because like the kids are like, we never see him, and he was sad because he was the first person. The boy was
Helped him realize
yeah, but
that.
the little boy whom the giant loved was never seen again. And he was kind to all the children. He longed for his first little friend because he was his favorite. So he went on and on. So he got old, and he had always wanted to see the little boy again. So then he's like, here's how it is. And the child smiled on the giant and said to him, "You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise." So he reappeared to
Bring him home.
bring him home.
Okay. This
So-
was probably my least favorite story, I think.
Why do you think?
I don't know. I just didn't.
Too much of that.
Maybe? I don't know. Maybe. What?
No, I was just gonna say too much of like the obvious religious.
Yeah,
though.
but I mean, in the first one, the Happy Prince, that one
Yeah.
was obvious too. But I guess that was more
just right at the end.
Yeah, and that was them going. They had already died, and so
Yeah.
they're going up.
Yeah.
And this one, he's fully alive, and the Christ Child appears, and it's like kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
It
you
wasn't-
don't know that it's the Christ child until
until the end.
Towards
Till
the
till-
end.
I suppose,
till
yeah.
he came back.
Yeah, I would need to
Yeah.
reread it again.
Yeah.
I think for this one.
Yeah, I would think that you should read these
I
because they're
should, yeah.
small.
I know.
like they're really like you get the whole story in
Yeah.
very few pages.
Yeah,
well, and I think the Selfish Giant was probably the shortest.
yeah.
I think, or it read at a very good pace.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
There wasn't because like I thought that the next one kind of drug on,
Yes.
as did the that's this one because there's like a story and a story here.
Yes, and that
This is the story and a story one. So yeah, I didn't. I like that one. I think I like that one.
do you have any notes for the
I
Selfish Giant?
No.
No?
So, I don't have many. I have notes just overall
Okay.
on it. Not Mariah. Maybe you do, because you
No,
seem
'cause
to have took notes.
I just did like a brief recap,
Oh, sure.
really, for
Okay.
each story.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, move along.
Move along to the.
Oh, this is just really like.
I know.
It's very deep.
It's
It
yeah.
is.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes
Yeah.
we do that.
Not like Stuart Little. That was a fun episode. I was
It
thinking
was.
about it again.
It was a fun episode.
'cause-
the first one.
Yeah, I know. That's fun.
Have you re-listened to it at all?
No, I was just thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because I keep thinking why, first of all, it was our first one, but we didn't have our questions, which I've liked to have our questions, but
Just
this
the-
is some,
the-
some free thinking
Free
here.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like when it's kind of like when you watch a terrible movie and you can just tear it apart. When there's a book that's like not great, or like, did she give birth to the mouse or did she not give birth to the mouse? She gave birth to the mouse.
She did not. Doesn't say that.
Doesn't say she didn't.
Doesn't say she did.
Anyway,
The
the
argument
devoted
continues.
friend.
Yeah.
Okay, once upon a time, there was a kind and honest man named Hans. He lived alone in a tiny cottage. Hans was a little man who owned a beautiful garden where he grew flowers of all kinds and colors, which were sold in the market to make some money. He enjoyed the company of another man called Hugh Miller, who used to visit Hans very often during the summertime, and with whom he shared thoughts about friendship and loyalty. Hans was so devoted to Hugh that he even gifted him a whole bunch of flowers from his own garden. However, when winter came, Hans found himself in a very difficult situation, as his flowers wouldn't flourish anymore until the following spring, meaning that he was impoverished, living on a simple diet of a few pears and hard nuts. That winter was so stark that he had to sell some of his useful gardening tools, including his wheelbarrow, a silver chain, his pipe, and some silver buttons. Meanwhile, the miller lived comfortably in his own house and avoided visiting his friend or helping him in any way, not to make him jealous and spoil, if not break, their friendship. Finally, spring came, and it was time for Hans to sell some of his primroses in order to buy back his silver buttons. Hugh finally visits him, and hearing about his problem, he decides to kindly gift him his old, broken wheelbarrow in exchange for a few favors. Hans naively accepts the deal, but the unceasing requests of the miller keeps him busy to the point that he cannot tend his garden. One day, Hans was asked to go and seek a doctor for Hugh's son, who had hurt himself, but as it was a stormy and rainy night, he could barely see where he was going. After finding the doctor on his way back home, he gets lost and drowns in a hole full of water. Hugh, exaggerating his sadness, attends Hans's funeral, and the Lynette's story is concluded with the following sentence. "A great loss to me at any rate," answered the miller. Why I had as good as given him my wheelbarrow, and now I really don't know what to do with it. It is very much in my way at home, and it is in such bad repair that I could not get anything for it if I sold it. I will certainly take care not to give away anything again. One always suffers for being generous. The water rat, however, is unmoved by the story, saying that he would rather not have had listened to it, and disappears into his home. The story has been... Oh, wait. Let's just talk about the story being adapted.
Yeah.
So kind of like the Nightingale story, a little bit.
Kind of.
Don't give everything to somebody and not tend your own garden.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
In this case, literally, he couldn't tend his own garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, first of all, this one was long, I thought. But yeah, the miller was just a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds
Just
like it.
narcissist. A lot of narcissism weaved throughout these books, too.
Yeah.
Or these stories. And just like even when they were when he was telling his wife, well, I wonder how little Hans is doing, and she's like, well, you could invite him up. He's like, nah, I don't want to get him spoiled.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm okay.
But
Yeah.
also, were Hans and Hugh like together?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I didn't read that.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
either.
Okay.
I think it's because Hugh, because he was described as a big presence. Let's see if I can find it. He was a miller, so he, was well off and all of that.
I think he was jealous of Hans.
Really? Why?
Well, he came over with that basket in hopes
I
of...
thought he was using them.
Well, I definitely think he was using them for sure, but I think Hans lived a life that maybe Hugh wanted to live. You know, the simplicity, to find the joys in the smallest things, kind of
Sure.
living life without burdens or, he kind of just...
There was burdens.
Well, because I asked if you thought Hugh and Hans were like a thing. Mm-hmm. Because when I was reading about these stories, it was talking about how there's a lot of male love, is what they called it.
Yeah.
Between the prince and the bird. 'Cause
Sure.
they're both male. Between the, maybe this guy and that guy.
Talked about that.
And I wonder if it was not meant to be on, like as an intentional thing.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if Oscar Wilde was gay, was that his way of putting in like some of that without being blatantly?
Yeah, I do remember
you know what I mean?
they talked about it
They
in the
did
introduction.
talk about
male.
So it was more, I think, how he used in children's stories. You can have.
I found it.
Okay, go ahead.
They hearken to the period between infancy and puberty when children form intense same-sex friendships and have best friends to whom they are devoted, a theme to which the devoted friend pays tribute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't think so, but it's just this story could be labeled the narcissist, and I think we all have people in our life. So, right off the top of my head, I can think of a lot of people who, and this one is exaggerated, of course, but it's really when you watched like a friendship be completely one-sided or a relationship be completely one-sided where it's like, oh, I'll give this to you when you do this, and oh, I'm gonna do the if you once you do this. It's like you were giving him a broken ass wagon or wheelbarrow.
Yeah, they can't
and
do nothing
then
with.
at the end all you cared about is you still got this damn wheelbarrow,
Right, and you can't sell it.
because it's not worth anything, and yet
Right.
you took his wood that
Right.
he was going to fix the wheelbarrow with to fix your, and you had him fix his
A leaky roof?
in the barn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the miller was a complete asshole,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I just didn't understand, like, after the first or two even tasks, that at one point Little Hands was like, you know what,
Fuck this.
that'd be
I'm
like,
out.
yeah,
Yeah. What does it take for a person to recognize that pattern?
clearly death in this story.
Well, but I mean, if
You know-
if Hugh is a narcissist, then I assume there's some gaslighting going on.
Oh, I would.
So if he were to even
100%.
question it, I'm
Well-
sure Hugh can talk and manipulate him to just going back to doing what he
'Cause
wants
he-
him to
yeah.
do.
Because he kept
that's how that
saying,
works.
you know, I'm giving you my wheelbarrow. This is the least you could do for
Right,
me.
so
And
he's
he's
yeah,
like,
so he's
oh,
gaslighting
yeah.
him.
He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
and
It's like, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Oh,
Off
okay.
I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an abusive relationship.
Oh,
Yeah.
'Cause
100%.
it's-
Emotional abuse, manipulation, narcissism. The list can go on and on. Gaslighting. Yeah.
But then if you try and look at how could Hans...
Not see it.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to spin it in a way where, like, how could he see it so that he could work up the courage
He didn't.
to say no?
I feel like that.
Or
just
is that
comes
at a
with-
point where...
I mean, if you want to take a look at any like domestic abuse
It's all
scenarios,
starts very small and
minor.
slowly works its way up to the point
like,
where
how
it's,
many times would you say, why does she stay with him, or why does he stay with her, or when this is, and there's like, well, because tomorrow will be better,
Right.
This will
And
be. He
because
said
they-
this was the last time.
and they they'll gaslight them to all this stuff, but then love bomb them into all
Yeah.
these good things. So then you're like, oh, okay, it's better.
See,
it's different.
yeah,
See,
he's a
it's,
nice-
see,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good now. He's a good friend now. He's a good partner now. He's a
yeah.
whatever. Or she.
it's a broken pattern.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, cool, I'll stay. And then it happens again. And then it's like,
Yeah.
and then you love bomb again. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
better
So
now.
it's
So
that
it's
cycle.
a pattern
Yeah.
of, yeah.
This one made me sad.
Yeah.
This one was
And
sad.
angry.
Yeah. This one was sad because, like, I guess I should have known. I maybe thought that the water guy was gonna die. The water
rat.
Yeah, because he was kind of a dick too. But
Yeah.
But
yeah, this one was sad. I didn't think that he was gonna die.
That shocked me when I was reading
when he fell in
that.
the hole.
Yeah.
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 I drowned.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would be a good, because again, you read these or listen to them and you're like, Jesus Christ, for like a children's book.
Very deep.
Very
Yeah.
like heavy.
Yeah.
Very
But
heavy.
I suppose that would be a good one for kids at some age. I don't know what age, but to recognize
Well, a
that
couple
type of relationship
Yeah,
and
sure.
what that can do to you.
yeah. And then it was funny because at the end of this story, she goes, the Lynette. Or Lynette, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm rather afraid that I have annoyed him, answered the Lynette. The fact is that I told him a story with a moral. Ah, that is always a very dangerous thing to do, said the duck, and I quite agree with her. So, like, this one was the biggest, like, here's the moral of this story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Don't again always be the one giving and not getting anything back in return.
I
That's
wonder if
exactly what I wrote.
I wonder if Oscar Wilde was in a relationship like this at some point where he was like, you know what?
Probably. I mean, if he had to be closeted in some way, did you find anything on his relationship with his wife?
There wasn't really a whole lot other than when he went to prison. And then she took her kids and went
I'm sure
away.
there was a lot of shame for her
Oh,
and their
for
family
sure.
at that time.
And back then, it probably was her fault.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah. 'Cause why wouldn't it be?
Right. What did you were going to say something before I interrupted you?
I just said a person should be able to do something nice for someone else without needing something in return.
Yeah.
Was kind of a
right.
overall basis of what I got.
Yeah.
Or felt
Yeah.
at the end
Just,
when I read it.
you know, I think we all have been in relationships like that where one person gives more than the other. And I would argue, though, that there are times in friendships, for sure, that sometimes you
It's not always
give
50-50.
more.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's 10-90 and sometimes it's 70-30, but it should be both of those
Balanced
on a
in some
balance.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be the only person giving. And in this case, giving your life for someone who made false statements, and that how he thought, well, I'm just going to live up here, and he's fine because I wouldn't want him to spoil him with knowing how nice it could be,
Right.
like asshole.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a pretty big lesson in this one, I thought. But this was probably no. The next one is my least favorite story. Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Should we get into that one?
Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the next one is The Remarkable Rocket. This story concerns a firework who is one of many to be let off at the wedding of a prince and princess. The rocket is extremely pompous and self-important and degenerates all of the other fireworks, eventually bursting into tears to demonstrate his, quote, sensitivity. As this makes him wet, he fails to ignite and the next day is thrown away into a ditch. He still believes he is destined for great public importance and treats a frog, dragonfly, and duck that meet him with appropriate disdain. Two boys find him and use him as fuel for their campfire. The rocket is finally lit and explodes, but nobody observes him. The only effect he has is to frighten a goose with his falling stick.
So he's reduced to being known as a stick.
Yeah.
So, Fee, this was the story from this book that you wanted us to read.
Well, this is the one that Kelly wanted, that she liked. And so I
Okay.
texted her actually at the beginning of this, and I said, we're recording The Happy Prince. Any comments? And she goes, just that The Remarkable Rocket is my favorite. And I said, why though? And she said, I just like how arrogant and snobby he is. I don't know. When I was younger, I thought he was funny.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the
Yeah.
sassiness of him.
So-
she thought was funny when she was younger. And
Sure.
was
So
her
that
favorite.
tells you why these can be children's books.
Right.
Or children's stories.
Yeah.
Having tangible items. One,
Talk
have a
and be-
voice.
and be like, it's like I kept picturing the candlestick in Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
Lemire.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that's kind of how I heard him see him.
Yeah.
See him talking. But yeah. Yeah, not this. What I don't know why this wasn't my favorite story. Maybe because it was at the end. Because I don't know. I just there wasn't as much as what the others were.
Sure. Yeah, it was a little less.
It was
In depth.
flatter,
Sure.
or
Yeah.
not as much to it. Because you're coming off of the devoted friend,
Right,
Which
whereas-
is deep as f.
That's when he drowns in a hole.
right? And then you're like, oh,
A rocket.
a rocket.
Thinks he's hoity-toity. No.
What did you have?
I would kind of agree this as I was reading this, because I guess I had just had it stuck in my head that I thought this was your favorite book
I've never.
of this.
I had never read it.
And I was reading and I was like, I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder why
though?
this is.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when Kelly said what she said, that she thought that the rocket was funny.
Right.
Yeah.
When she was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I kind of struggled to read this one.
Yeah.
Whether I just couldn't picture it. Mm-hmm. It didn't flow the greatest for me when I was reading it.
Sure.
I think it was just a mixture of things. But yeah, the only note I have on here is you can only tell yourself so much to make yourself feel better.
Right. Yeah.
Because he...
Except for he never got that.
Yeah.
Well, right, he didn't. But I think this was just kind of like my reminder, like, you have to feel it in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't keep telling yourself, their wedding is it's so...
Because their
funny,
wedding, he didn't think it was their wedding. He thought it was a show.
About
happening
him.
About
on
him.
the day
It
that
was-
he was
yeah,
going to
he
take
was
off.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
happened to
How
coincide.
Yeah.
nice of them to get married on a day I'm gonna light up the sky.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Mixed reviews, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily go into this one going, I know people that are like that.
Yeah, 100%.
That are just as like think that everything is about them and why is this happening is because it's happening for me and all of that. I did kind of like that he got his come up. I was just thinking of that word. You know, in the end, he thought he was so great and he was just reduced to a stick.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like he was
I
like
didn't hear the word you said.
Comeuppance.
his comeuppance,
Comeuppance.
his just rewards.
Okay.
That's what you get. Essentially,
what you get.
that's saying.
Got
That's
it.
what you get for
Okay.
being a pompous,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm so great asshole. And
Yeah.
Now you're just a stick.
Yeah. Karma.
So, yeah. Karma. That's, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I will say I did have my favorite quote in this one.
Oh.
The world is certainly very beautiful, cried a little squib. Just look at those yellow tulips. Why? If they were real crackers, they could not be lovelier. Correct? Yeah.
Yep.
I am very glad I have traveled. Travel improves the mind wonderfully and does away with all one's prejudices.
He said that.
Who was
Sounds like
this?
the duck or
The squib did the
Squib.
The squib said that. So basically, they were trying to tell the rocket that he, calm down.
Yeah.
Basically,
Get over yourself.
calm down. You're not all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
So that was that book.
yeah, but
4 months. in
I
the
don't know
making.
what I was anticipating,
I
to
did
be
not-
honest.
I had no idea. I had no idea what this was about. I always had seen it, but I've never read it.
Did Kelly read this on her own, or was this in school?
No, I'm pretty sure she read this on her own.
On her own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my notes on this were, he said, first off, this book is stunning. By that I mean this publication is the illustrations, the paper quality, and the print type. I loved every bit of that.
So it's a good book to add to your collection.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
look real nice on a shelf. And actually, I say that I got caught up in the introduction so much so that I had to put it down. I put it down several times and then decided just to skip the intro and move directly into the stories, which I'm so glad I did. It talks about how sad. I said all the stories at first have a whimsical nature about them, creatures and things talking to each other. However, they all turn sad. My favorite one was Nightingale.
Yeah, the Nightingale one was really good.
I stopped mid sentence because I had to get going,
Yeah.
get doing whatever I was doing. So, yeah. So I mean, this was probably the deepest book that we've ever read.
Agreed. For sure.
I would have liked to have.
Spent more time.
Yeah, knowing now about it, I wish that I would have spent more time kind of dissecting all of the stories a little bit more.
Yeah, if I had known it was going to be this deep and heavy of a book, I probably wouldn't have picked it.
Well, I was like with Mariah, I was like, why does she like this book? This,
I've never read
so
it.
I don't know, for whatever reason, I had it in my head that you loved this book, especially the rocket story. And
I forgot about Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was all picked.
Yeah.
It was just a suggestion.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had known what it was, I probably wouldn't have picked it at all. Because
I'm glad.
I'm glad I read it, and I do enjoy it, and I would read it again. But I don't know if it would be I don't know if it's the best book for this podcast.
I don't know. It is what it is.
But
I'm curious what age group is this?
0 to, I don't know.
0 to 100.
0 to 100. I don't know. I just...
Let's see if the Google gives us anything.
But The Importance of Being Earnest is written by Oscar Wilde.
Yep.
And that book I've read, and I do really like.
I remember you
And
talking
that
about
one
that
is
too.
much more lighthearted. And
it's
much
a
more. It's a play.
movie?
It was a play,
Play?
and then they made a movie of it. Yeah, I've never
Okay.
seen the movie, but
I have it saved on, is it HBO?
yeah,
It's on?
I should watch it.
Because
But-
I came across, I was like, oh, the importance of being in earnest. I remember Fee
yeah,
saying these words.
yeah, it's a much more funny,
Okay.
upbeat
Sure.
book.
Well, let's
So
see.
I was kind of expecting this to be like that.
Lighthearted
And
and-
as it was playing, I was like, oh my God, I don't think this is a kid's book.
According to Amazon, the reading age is 4 to 8.
Oh wow.
Just saying what I'm here. So I have read actually the Picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh, did you end? What did you think of it?
I read it in high school, and so we dissected it in class, and I loved it. I don't know that I could go back and read it again. Maybe I should.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. And probably because you would read it and then you'd talk about it, and then there was a lot of course foreshadowing and symbolism and all of that. So that's.
Do you remember what it's about?
Yeah, there's this picture of this guy who
'Cause I don't even know what it's
never
about.
ages, and
Oh, and then he is really beautiful on the outside, but then he's a horrible person. So his
Picture-
portrait just keeps getting like
older and
uglier
older.
and uglier and uglier.
and
but
he stays young
and
until the
beautiful.
very end, and believe that his house collapses in the end. And
Oh.
I should
Again,
probably
very-
reread it. I should probably. Yeah, I read it in high school, so
Yeah,
it's
that makes sense, yeah.
considered.
So you would read something
I
again
I
of
would read,
his?
yes, I would.
Would you read something about Oscar
I
Wilde
don't
again?
know.
Was it too heavy for you, Mariah?
It might have been. I mean, no, I'm glad we did it. It's great to have conversations like these, maybe outside of
Well,
everyday
usually,
life, but,
usually
I
we
mean-
have much more lighthearted
life
conversations.
talks. Life
Yeah.
talks.
Yeah, but I don't know, like.
It was something different. And I
It
did
sort
like it.
of made me, and again, here's where I wish I would have spent a little more time on each of the stories. I think that you can do, as you said before, a self check about maybe not being this person or being that type of person, or even something as simple as the nightingale gave her life for the rose, and we often don't go into what things, like simple things, what that can really mean. It's to them it was a simple flower, but to the nightingale it actually was her whole life. So
Right.
so maybe to just be more mindful of stuff like that, or to be mindful you're not Hugh, and you're also not little Hans, to kind of keep that in check.
Yeah.
And to be like the remarkable rocket, who turns out wasn't very remarkable.
Nope.
Because are you remarkable if nobody sees you?
Are you remarkable if you say you're remarkable, but nobody else thinks that?
Well, right, but
No.
we didn't know he was
Yeah.
remarkable, and he was, but nobody saw it because the boys were asleep, and the goose was like, "Oh, but it's raining sticks. I'm gonna get
raining sticks.
I'm gonna get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
So I don't know. So if we want to talk about the lessons to be learned, I think this one is filled with lessons to be learned.
So many.
Yeah.
So many.
Do we want to rate it really quick, and then I have something funny we can end on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what I paid for this.
You ordered these for us, didn't you? Yeah.
I think I got it
I
off
don't
of
know,
Amazon.
like $15.99 sounds familiar. I guess I could look. I was just on Amazon looking at something else, age category.
We can
Go ahead, go around the room, and I'll.
if it's based off of $15.99, I actually probably wouldn't pay that again. I would go like $10.99.
Or did you get these off of Barnes and Noble?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
I'd throw like $10 at it.
Yeah, I mean, it
Let's see if I can find this
it
version of it.
gives good different themes.
Gives good thought.
good
gives,
lessons.
Gives good
Lessons.
discussion.
Yeah,
I can't find this version.
just say it's $15.99.
All right, let's just say it's $15.99. I would pay a solid $20 for this book
Because
This
of the
book-
quality?
The book is stunning. The illustrations are stunning. I don't know if you want to take a picture of one. Can we post something?
Probably.
The paper quality is amazing. And now, here's just something that we should always remember, especially you. you think you had to read through the whole introduction first instead of just being like, fuck it.
Sure.
I'm going to start here. And that in itself is a lesson. Because
Yeah.
I think you would have enjoyed them more had you not had all of that backstory
Prior.
filling your head.
Yeah.
Because literally, I picked this up and put it down several times.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get into the stories, it's just better.
Yeah.
So skip the forward, skip the introduction sometimes, unless it's pertinent to the story, which this was not.
And don't listen to the last chapter on the Audible version.
Yeah, because that's
Yes.
something
It
else.
was so long.
I wish now I kind of want to read that one.
But you should read it just so you can see what I'm talking about.
I'll find it
I
somewhere.
don't know if that's a kid's. I mean, maybe. Who
4
the
to
hell
8.
knows?
4 to 8.
Yeah, that's a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Oscar Wilde and the Happy Prince and Other Tales. Remember last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was wearing the same shirt.
Yes. When.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, last week when.
Apparently my on-camera shirt.
Yes, that's the only. You should wear that shirt for
yeah,
the end of
time.
time. Last week when I mentioned that Danny and John wanted to write an erotic novel, and it was going to be about feet, and then Danny gave me some of his titles. He's been throwing more titles at me since then. So we ended with slip-offs, anklets. Then he threw on fruit by the foot, tiddlywinks, and ratfinks. Who let the dogs out? Hot
Cool.
dogs, raw dogged, the doghouse.
Oh, Jesus.
You can really.
He should maybe just concentrate at work.
I do like the who let the dogs, like that one in fruit by the foot.
Yeah.
I don't know. This
What
will
were you
be-
going to say?
I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
What's our next book?
What's our next
Do we
book?
know? Or do we not know
Yes,
yet?
we do. Because it's your pick.
Yes, my pick. We're gonna do Secret Garden. Don't ask me the author because I don't know, and
Okay.
I don't physically have the book with me. So
Okay.
Cool. You should have told me. I have it.
That's fine.
I have so many books on the shelf waiting to come out and come over here and start reading. Most of them are newer ones. So
and then we're gonna do a book that Amanda recommended.
Top fan,
with Amanda.
Not here.
Not
with-
here,
although-
but she's agreed to read it with us, and then we're gonna send her our questions, and we will
round
answer-
table read them.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Getting
unless we
a-
could figure out how Amanda could call in,
Well, she's
that would be spectacular.
well. Now that we record during the day, she's
Oh.
she's a teacher, so
She might be done by then.
or she
Oh,
just
in
started
the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Summer, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So okay.
Anyway.
Anyways, more to come.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So if you know on a very depressing episode of
Yeah.
but if you like this, or maybe if you've liked the other things,
Or you have other thoughts.
share it
read
with
it.
us.
Comment.
On this. This
Email
one was
us.
deep for us.
Yeah,
it's-
sorry.
No, I think it's good once in a while to kind of dive into something on a different level.
Feelings.
Yeah, with feelings. Like some of us in this room aren't afraid of ours. Some of us are. Yeah.
Gross.
But so yeah, if you like this or if you have a comment on this, if you'd like to see more of this, follow us at Tramps, Ghosts, and Ballerinas
Instagram, Facebook.
tgballerinas@gmail.com.
And then we're
you
on
wanna
TikTok,
email us?
TGB Pod, TGB Pod.
Yep.
We'll be on YouTube. I don't know the name yet. Just search Tramps,
hang
Ghosts,
on.
Ballerinas.
Yeah, we'll get
I'm
there.
sure it'll be just Tramps, Ghosts,
If you
and
are
Ballerinas.
ever in question, just Google us.
Google us.
Google
It'll
us will
come up.
pop up.
Yeah. So,
Or you can follow. Do you want anybody following your personal? page?
Nope.
No, you don't.
no,
I
no.
am-
Well, you can find us.
You
Like
can
you can
find
find us
locked
through
for a
through
reason.
through Insta. You can
You can find me on Instagram at Feel Ellen.
Yeah, it's funny that
FEE.
that's your Instagram when you claim to
feelings.
have, you want to have no feelings.
You know how that started?
I know. I don't-
Is Feel FEEEL. When I went to college, they gave me my college email address, and it was the first 3 letters of your last name and the first 2 letters of your first name.
Oh.
First 3 letters of my last name is my full last name.
Yeah.
And so it was Feel F-E-E-L.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. So when I made my Instagram, I did that. That was already taken. So I did Feel Ellen.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram there. And then if you can't find us somewhere, just DM me and I'll tell you how to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Should we be done?
Yeah, let's be done.
good.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, I have shopping to do. I'm not totally set on all the things that I bought for my trip, so
Okay.
All right.
Lots to do.
lots to do today. Okay, so we're out of here. Thanks for tagging along, and
Yep.
we are out.
Out.
Bye.
Bye.